Okay, every once in a while, not often, there are events that change a society or change a group of people, change the world. And you can think of a lot of examples like this probably. If you think of what travel, if you're old enough to remember travel before 9/11, and think of what it is. Most people, if you're under 20, you can't imagine what it was like to go through an airport, say 1995, or to be able to go right up to the gate, or the ease of checking things in, or security is completely different. There's so many examples like this. Think of what communication was like before the cell phone. How do you get in touch with someone? Well, you just call, leave a message, and you wait for them to get back to you some point later in the day. Now, if someone doesn't get back to us immediately or 5 seconds, we get frustrated. Um, think about now. I don't know where it's at here. I have a flip phone, so I still deal with this one. But think about, for the most of you, what navigating to a place was like. You wanted to go somewhere and you weren't. It was the first time you were going there. You had to plan ahead. Look up on a computer or a map. I delivered pizzas in 1995 or 96, and I had to have a map, like a laminated map in my car. It was just a completely different thing of the town, the entire town. There's just so many different things that we have to do. Life is just different for us. Atari in 1985, changed kids' lives. And it still, that kind of thing has continued. And just gets more advanced. But that was really a major change. We're in, I think, a major change in society right now. There are going to be some things that happen. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe this won't be, but there's coming something that's going to happen. You know, uh, Maybe a little later, maybe a little sooner, depending on when things get back to the way they were. But there's going to be a new group of cool people that were never cool before. Uh, Starting next year, probably for many people, when they go back to school, back to regular school, homeschool kids are going to be more popular than they ever were. You think about how many times it's something that has never been said before. Like these kids are going to go back to school and think, man, I wish I could be homeschooled again, right? And homeschool kids are going to be like, I've never been so popular. Man, we wish we could be like you. That was great. Remember last year when we. And the reason is because people have developed a new habit. Um, all of a sudden, people have gotten used to, kids have gotten used to getting up at 9 o'clock at the earliest, you know, to do their school. They've gotten used to, having a cup of coffee and or cocoa or whatever, and sitting there and doing their homework in their pajamas, and still being done by 1 o'clock. Like, why in the world does this take so long? Uh, and people they're getting used to it. They're like, man, those kids, I thought they were dorks or something, but they have it made. And there's a new group. It's going to shift some things in society. Now I kind of say that jokingly, but there is. So it might have people who've had to commute to work and now have home, and going back is going to be difficult. We've established a new set of habits. Some good habits, some bad habits. And so I kind of want to talk about some of those habits. And habits change, and we get used to things. Maybe we experience things for the first time and we develop a good habit, or maybe we experience things for the first time and a bad habit results, and we want to try to mitigate those. Um, think about some of the habits that you might have developed, to maybe just to try to get away from boredom. What are the things you've done? Puzzles and games, or people are out walking more now than they ever have, or trying to get their bikes and various things, and just um, like I, uh, I bought a bike, and I never fixed it. Like finally I get to fix my bike. Well, you know, all it needed was a chain. I've never gotten around to it. So the real story is, I bought that bike when we first moved back from Ukraine, which was 5 years ago. That thing has sat in my garage for 5 years without a bike chain getting fixed. And this has caused me to want to fix it. So I finally got a bike chain for it. Now it's raining. But boredom causes us to want to do some things, and those are good changes. Interaction. For the first time in a long time, people are experiencing family dinners that they've never done in it. And, they've run out of things to watch, maybe on TV, if that's possible, or they're just bored with whatever, and they want to do something different. They're just bored with watching TV. I mean, what do we do? And looking for things. And so maybe some of these interactions will change. Well, let me just go up to a higher level of things, because that's just dealing with boredom. For the first time, some people are learning about budgeting because they have to. Maybe your income has been cut. Maybe you had two incomes, and one of them is no longer. Maybe both people. Planning ahead, right? Maybe you have to plan ahead for things now, that things are limited. Stewardship is, I think, a good thing to learn. Being wise, and maybe we're realizing some of the not wise decisions that we used to make. And we're having to learn priorities, like, do we need to spend money on this or this, and we're learning priorities, what's important. Savings, a lot of financial things I'm obviously focusing on here, but there's lots of things like this that we could look at and say, people are having to learn new things. In Matthew chapter 6, there's a statement that none of us have really ever considered before. We've quoted it, we've memorized it. Give us this day our daily bread. Just think of part of that phrase. Give us this day our daily. There are things that you've never had to experience before. Most of us have never had to experience. Maybe some people had to experience gas shortages in the 70s. I was really too young for that. I was alive, but I was too young for it to remember it, really. But most of us have never really experienced shortages of things to where we go into a store and see one per family per day. You've never had to experience, give us this day our daily toilet paper, before. Give us this day our daily bag of rice or flour. Right? That's a thing, at least in the grocery store that we're in. Wow, I've never had to experience that before. That is so strange. And we have to get used to doing something daily, and having a limited access to it. And so it teaches us reliance on God, appreciation for what we do have, prayer for what we don't have, thoughtfulness for others, and we're learning thoughtfulness. Let the elderly go to the stores and we'll stay home, and various things that we've never thought of before, thinking about other people, and a lot of other things that are good habits for us to learn. So the encouragement here is a little bit shorter today, but to learn the good habits, and hopefully to review some of the bad habits we have, and try not to let those become permanent.